Opening. The world is changing faster than most people realize. In quiet laboratories, behind closed doors, across continents separated by oceans and ideology, a new kind of arms race is unfolding. It does not involve nuclear warheads or carrier fleets. It involves something far more subtle, far more pervasive, and potentially far more transformative: artificial intelligence. Three powers have emerged as the principal combatants in this struggle: the United States, the People's Republic of China, and the European Union. Each approaches the challenge differently. Each possesses distinct advantages and vulnerabilities, and each understands that the victor in this competition will not simply lead the world in technology. They will define the architecture of power itself for generations to come. This is not speculation. This is observation. This is analysis drawn from policy documents, investment patterns, regulatory frameworks, and strategic positioning. This is the intelligence briefing you need to understand the most consequential geopolitical contest of our time. Welcome to the new AI arms race. The American position. The United States enters this competition from a position of historical strength. For decades, America has been the undisputed leader in technological innovation. Silicon Valley became synonymous with the future itself. The infrastructure, the talent pipeline, the venture capital ecosystem, the research institutions, all converged to create an environment where breakthrough technologies could emerge, scale, and dominate global markets. Artificial intelligence is no exception. The most advanced AI systems currently in existence were developed on American soil. OpenAI's GPT series, Google's Gemini and DeepMind projects, Anthropic's Claude, Meta's Llama models, Microsoft's integration strategies. These are not merely products. They are manifestations of accumulated expertise, computational resources, and iterative refinement that few nations can replicate. The American advantage begins with talent. The United States attracts the world's brightest minds in computer science, mathematics, and engineering. Universities like MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, and Carnegie Mellon produce researchers who push the boundaries of what machines can do. Immigration policies, despite political turbulence, have historically enabled foreign-born scientists to contribute to American innovation. The result is a concentration of intellectual capital unmatched anywhere on Earth. Compute power represents the second pillar of American dominance. Training cutting-edge AI models requires enormous computational resources, data centers filled with specialized chips running calculations at scales that strain comprehension. Companies like Nvidia, an American semiconductor firm, supply the graphics processing units that power AI development worldwide. Amazon, Microsoft, and Google operate cloud infrastructure that provides on-demand access to computational power. This control over the physical substrate of AI development confers strategic leverage. Capital completes the triangle. American venture capital firms have poured hundreds of billions of dollars into AI startups. This funding enables rapid experimentation, aggressive scaling, and the ability to attract top talent through competitive compensation. The feedback loop is self-reinforcing. Success breeds investment, investment enables further success, and the ecosystem grows stronger with each iteration. Yet the American position is not without critical vulnerabilities. The most significant weakness is fragmentation. Unlike centrally coordinated national efforts, American AI development occurs across dozens of competing private companies, academic institutions, and government agencies. These entities pursue their own objectives, protect proprietary information, and sometimes work at cross purposes. There is no unified national AI strategy with binding authority. Coordination is voluntary, incomplete, and often ineffective. This fragmentation creates several problems. First, it prevents optimal allocation of resources. Competing companies duplicate research efforts rather than building on shared foundations. Second, it complicates the relationship between technological development and national security. Private companies make decisions based on market incentives, not strategic necessity. Third, it leaves the United States vulnerable to talent drain, as researchers and engineers can be recruited by foreign competitors offering attractive terms. Regulatory uncertainty compounds these challenges. The American government has struggled to develop coherent AI policy. Questions about data privacy, algorithmic accountability, antitrust enforcement, and export controls remain unresolved. This creates an environment where companies must navigate ambiguity and where rapid policy shifts could disrupt long-term planning. The United States leads in innovation, but leadership in innovation does not automatically translate to strategic victory. The race is not determined solely by who builds the most advanced systems. It is determined by who deploys them most effectively, at scale, in alignment with national objectives. The Chinese strategy. China approaches artificial intelligence with a fundamentally different model. Where America relies on decentralized innovation, China employs centralized coordination. Where American development is market-driven, Chinese development is state-directed. Where American strategy is fragmented, Chinese strategy is unified. This difference is not incidental. It reflects the structure of the Chinese political system and the strategic vision articulated by the Chinese Communist Party. In 2017, China released its New Generation Artificial Intelligence Development Plan. This document laid out an explicit roadmap for AI supremacy. The goals were clear: achieve parity with leading AI nations by 2020, make major breakthroughs by 2025, and become the world's primary AI innovation center by 2030. These were not aspirations. They were directives backed by state resources and institutional coordination. The Chinese government does not merely encourage AI development, it orchestrates it. Research priorities are set at the national level. Funding flows from state-controlled banks and investment vehicles. Universities, private companies, and military research institutions collaborate within frameworks established by central planners. Information sharing is mandated. Intellectual property protections are selectively enforced to serve national objectives. This approach generates significant advantages. First, China can mobilize resources at extraordinary scale. When the state decides AI is a priority, billions of dollars materialize. Infrastructure projects are approved and executed rapidly. Regulatory barriers that might slow development in other countries are removed or circumvented. The entire apparatus of government can be aligned behind a single objective. Second, China possesses a massive data advantage. With a population exceeding 1.4 billion people and pervasive digital infrastructure, China generates data at volumes that dwarf most other nations. Facial recognition systems track hundreds of millions of citizens. Mobile payment platforms record transactions in real time. Social media activity, transportation patterns, consumer behavior all feed into datasets that can train increasingly sophisticated AI systems. Privacy protections that limit data collection in Western democracies do not constrain Chinese development. Third, China demonstrates remarkable speed in deployment. Once a technology proves viable, Chinese institutions can implement it across entire cities, provinces, or sectors with minimal friction. Smart city initiatives integrate AI-powered surveillance, traffic management, and public services. Industrial applications of AI spread rapidly through manufacturing sectors. The gap between laboratory demonstration and real-world implementation is compressed. Fourth, China's military-civil fusion doctrine ensures that AI advances serve both economic and defense objectives simultaneously. Technologies developed for commercial purposes can be adapted for military applications. Research conducted in university labs can be transferred to defense contractors. The boundary between civilian and military AI development is deliberately blurred, creating synergies that accelerate progress in both domains. Yet China faces its own set of vulnerabilities. The most critical is the trust deficit. China's authoritarian governance model, its human rights record, and its approach to data surveillance create deep suspicion among potential partners. Many democracies view Chinese AI systems as potential vectors for espionage or political control. This limits China's ability to set global standards, form international partnerships, or embed its technologies in foreign infrastructure. Semiconductor dependence represents another weakness. Despite massive investments in domestic chip manufacturing, China still relies heavily on imported semiconductors, particularly the most advanced chips required for cutting-edge AI training. Export controls imposed by the United States and its allies restrict Chinese access to this critical technology. Until China achieves self-sufficiency in semiconductor production, this vulnerability persists. Additionally, while China excels at implementation and scale, questions remain about its capacity for fundamental innovation. Much Chinese AI development has involved adapting and improving technologies pioneered elsewhere. Whether China can consistently generate the kind of breakthrough innovations that define new technological paradigms is uncertain. China's AI strategy is formidable. It is coordinated, well-resourced, and executed with determination. But strategy alone does not guarantee victory. The race will be decided by execution, adaptation, and the ability to overcome inherent systemic constraints. The European approach. Europe occupies a unique position in the AI arms race. It cannot match American innovation. It cannot replicate Chinese scale. Its fragmented political structure, with power distributed among 27 member states in the European Union, prevents the kind of unified mobilization that characterizes Chinese strategy. Its venture capital ecosystem is smaller. Its tech giants are fewer and less dominant. Its computational infrastructure is less developed. Faced with these limitations, Europe has chosen a different path: regulatory leadership. If Europe cannot build the most powerful AI systems, it will define the rules that govern how AI systems are built, deployed, and used. If it cannot dominate through technological superiority, it will shape the playing field through legal frameworks that others must navigate. This strategy crystallized in the European Union's AI Act, the world's first comprehensive regulatory framework for artificial intelligence. The legislation categorizes AI systems by risk level and imposes corresponding requirements. High-risk applications, those used in critical infrastructure, law enforcement, employment decisions, or education, face strict obligations regarding transparency, accountability, and human oversight. Certain applications, such as social credit scoring or real-time biometric surveillance in public spaces, are banned outright. The regulatory approach serves multiple objectives. First, it positions Europe as the global standard setter. Just as the General Data Protection Regulation became the de facto global privacy standard, the AI Act aims to establish norms that other jurisdictions will adopt or adapt. Companies that want to operate in European markets must comply with European rules. This compliance often extends to their operations worldwide, giving European regulation extraterritorial reach. Second, regulation serves as a competitive tool. By imposing strict requirements on AI systems, Europe creates barriers that disproportionately affect foreign competitors. American and Chinese companies must invest resources in compliance, undergo audits, and potentially redesign systems to meet European standards. This levels the playing field, reducing the advantage that superior technology might otherwise provide. Third, the regulatory framework reflects European values. Europe has historically prioritized privacy, human rights, and democratic accountability more than efficiency or economic growth. The AI Act embodies these priorities, ensuring that AI development aligns with social and ethical considerations. This resonates with populations concerned about surveillance, algorithmic bias, and corporate power. Yet the European approach carries significant risks. Excessive regulation can stifle innovation. If compliance costs become too burdensome, companies may reduce AI research and development in Europe. Startups may relocate to jurisdictions with lighter regulatory touch. Brain drain could accelerate as talented researchers seek environments where experimentation is less constrained. Europe also risks becoming dependent on foreign AI systems. If European companies cannot compete technologically, European institutions, businesses, and governments will rely on American or Chinese AI. This creates strategic vulnerability. The entities that control the AI systems control the data, the algorithms, and potentially the decisions those systems make. Furthermore, regulatory fragmentation within Europe itself undermines effectiveness. While the EU provides overarching frameworks, implementation varies across member states. Different interpretations, enforcement priorities, and national laws create complexity that reduces the clarity regulation is meant to provide. Europe's strategy is sophisticated. It leverages the power of the world's largest single market to influence global norms. But influence through regulation is not the same as leadership through capability. The question remains whether Europe can translate regulatory authority into genuine strategic advantage. The corporate dimension. Beneath the national competition lies another layer: corporate warfare. The major technology companies are not merely instruments of national strategy. They are independent actors with their own objectives, resources, and influence. In many cases, these corporations wield power that rivals or exceeds that of medium-sized nations. OpenAI, Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia. These entities are building the AI systems that will define the future. They control vast computational resources. They employ the top researchers. They set research agendas. They decide which applications to prioritize and which to avoid. They shape public perception through product releases and communications strategies. These companies also influence policy. They lobby governments. They fund academic research. They participate in standard-setting bodies. They form partnerships with military and intelligence agencies. The line between corporate interest and national interest is increasingly blurred. This creates complex dynamics. American companies may compete with each other while collectively advancing American interests. Chinese companies operate under state direction but pursue commercial objectives. European regulations attempt to constrain corporate power but depend on corporate cooperation for enforcement. The corporate dimension adds unpredictability to the AI race. Strategic outcomes will be determined not only by government policy, but by decisions made in boardrooms, research labs, and product development meetings. The real stakes. What is actually at stake in this competition? Artificial intelligence is not simply another technology. It is a general-purpose capability that will reshape virtually every domain of human activity. Economically, AI will determine productivity growth, industrial competitiveness, and wealth creation. The nations that lead in AI will dominate high-value industries. Those that fall behind will face declining competitiveness and economic stagnation. Militarily, AI will transform warfare. Autonomous weapons, intelligence analysis, logistics optimization, cyber operations, all will be revolutionized by artificial intelligence. The military that effectively integrates AI will possess overwhelming advantages. The military that fails to do so will be obsolete. Socially, AI will influence how people work, learn, communicate, and make decisions. It will shape media environments, educational systems, and healthcare delivery. It will determine which voices are amplified and which are suppressed. It will affect the texture of daily life in ways both visible and invisible. Politically, AI will shift power relationships. Surveillance capabilities will grow. Propaganda will become more sophisticated. Democratic processes may be manipulated. Authoritarian control may be enhanced. The governance structures of the 21st century will be shaped by who controls AI and how they choose to use it. The AI race is about power in its most fundamental form, the ability to shape reality according to one's vision and interests. Closing. 3 powers, 3 strategies, 1 future. The United States leads in innovation but struggles with coordination. China mobilizes at scale but faces trust deficits. Europe regulates aggressively but risks dependency. The outcome is not predetermined. Advantages can be squandered. Weaknesses can be overcome. Unforeseen developments can shift the balance. What is certain is that the decisions made now in research labs, government ministries, corporate boardrooms, and regulatory agencies will echo for decades. The architecture of power being built today will define the world your children inherit. This is the new AI arms race, and it has only just begun. Real analysis, cinematic delivery.